Share on Pinterest. A cannabis high can last anywhere from 2 to 10 hours, depending on a range of factors. These include how much you consume, how much tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, it contains, your body weight and body fat percentage, your metabolism, whether or not you've eaten your tolerance. Cannabis contains more than 113 chemical compounds called cannabinoids. Delta-9 tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, is one of those cannabinoids, and it's the ingredient responsible for making you feel high. Here's a closer look at the timeline of a Delta-9 THC high and tips for cutting things short. How long does it take to kick in? How quickly you feel the effects mostly depends on your method of use. Smoking or vaping. You can begin to feel the effects of cannabis within 2 to 10 minutes. It kicks in quickly because it enters your bloodstream via your lungs within minutes of inhaling it. Eating. Your digestive system metabolizes pot when you eat it, which can take a while. Edibles usually kick in within 30 to 60 minutes, but can sometimes take as long as 2 hours. Dabbing. With this method, a highly concentrated form of marijuana is smoked through a special pipe. Dabs have a higher THC content than other forms of cannabis, so the high kicks in almost instantly. How long do the effects last? How long the effects last can vary greatly depending on the dose and potency. The more you use and the higher the THC content, the longer the effects will stick around. How you consume cannabis also affects when the effects peak and how long they last. Here's a breakdown, according to Drugs and Me, a site by the Mental Health Education Foundation. Smoking or vaping. The effects peak around 10 minutes after consumption and typically last 1 to 3 hours, though they can linger for up to 8 hours. Eating. The effects of edibles usually peak around 2 hours after consumption and can last up to 24 hours. Dabbing. Similar to smoking, the effects of dabbing usually last 1 to 3 hours. If using a high THC concentrate, you could feel the effects for an entire day. Cannabis hits everyone differently, so while your high may only last for a couple of hours, you could potentially feel the come down or after effects for several hours or through the next day. It's best to go low and slow if you're new to cannabis. Is there any way to end a high faster? If you need to cut things short, there are a few things you can try. Here are a few pointers based on anecdotal evidence and some research. Sleeping can help you relax if your high has you feeling anxious or paranoid. It also gives your body time to process and eliminate the cannabis. You'll likely wake up feeling refreshed and more alert after a few winks. Try some black pepper. There's some evidence-trusted source that caryophyllene, a compound in peppercorn, increases the sedative effects of THC, which could calm you. Just take a container of black pepper and have a sniff without inhaling it. Chewing on a couple of whole peppercorns also works. Eat some pine nuts. Some research-trusted source shows that pinene, a compound in pine nuts, has a calming effect and improves clarity. Skip this method if you have a tree nut allergy, though. Try some CBD. Yep, it may sound counterintuitive, but CBD may counteract the effects of THC. Like THC, cannabidiol, CBD, is a cannabinoid. The difference is the receptors in your brain that they interact with. THC causes the high you get from cannabis, but CBD has a calming effect that may help dull your high. Have some lemon peel. Lemons, especially the peel, contain compounds that have a calming effect. In theory, ingesting some lemon peel could counteract some of the psychoactive effects of THC and help you calm down. Try steeping some in hot water for a few minutes, then remove them and take some sips. What about extending it? If you're looking for a longer lasting high, consider sticking with edibles. They take longer to kick in, but the effects will hang around longer, which can be a big help if you're using cannabis for medical purposes. You could also redose or try a higher THC strain for a longer high, but know that you'll also have to deal with more intense effects. For a seasoned consumer, this is probably not a big deal, but a newbie may find the effects of a bigger dose to be a bit much. There are some anecdotal methods for extending your high on the internet, like eating mango, but there's no evidence to back any of these. Some websites recommend drinking alcohol with cannabis to extend your high, but it isn't the best idea. Drinking before using cannabis, even just one drink, can heighten the effects of THC. This combo can cause some folks to green out and experience some pretty unpleasant symptoms, including nausea, vomiting, dizziness, sweating, increased impairment. This combo doesn't work great in the other direction, either. Using cannabis before drinking can minimize the effects of alcohol, meaning you'll feel less drunk than you are. This makes it easy to get overly intoxicated. Plus, using cannabis and alcohol together may increase your risk of dependence on one or both substances. First-timer tips: if you're new to cannabis, keep these tips in mind. Start with a low THC strain. Keep your dose low and wait at least 2 hours before redosing, especially if using edibles. Try it when you have a chunk of free time to ride out the high, like on your day off. Have water handy to help avoid dry mouth and a cannabis hangover. Eat something before getting high, and be sure to have snacks on hand because the munchies are real. Having some food beforehand can also reduce potential side effects. Avoid mixing cannabis with alcohol or other substances. Have a friend with you in case you become anxious or have a bad reaction. The bottom line: cannabis affects everyone differently, so it's hard to predict exactly how long you'll feel the effects. Starting with a low dose and less potent strain can help keep you from getting too high, whereas opting for edibles will help to extend things a bit. Adrienne Santos Longhurst is a freelance writer and author who has written extensively on all things health and lifestyle for more than a decade. When she's not holed up in her writing shed researching an article or off interviewing health professionals, she can be found frolicking around her beach town with husband and dogs in tow, or splashing about the lake trying to master the stand-up paddle board.